Greninja in Pokemon Unite has been taking over matches for a while now, and people are asking for anything to go ahead and make it so that we can counter him or nerf him or do something because he's so strong. But if you ask me, after doing a little bit of research here, the counter to Greninja has been in front of us this whole time. We just haven't been paying attention. So today we're going to talk about it. So if we're going to talk about how to counter Greninja, we need to understand Greninja. You are never going to be able to beat anyone if you don't understand how they work, Greninja included. So how does he work? Why is he so strong? Well, one of the reasons why he's so strong is just because he does a lot of damage. But let's talk about how he goes about doing that. So one of the reasons why you always see a Greninja in the jungle is because he power spikes at level 5 and level 7. Take a peek here, he gets his first skill level 5, which a lot of people pick Smokescreen, as you probably should. And then at level 7, he gets another big one. And a lot of people pick Surf, and we'll talk about Surf in a little bit more detail, but Surf is ridiculous. And so the reason why he always goes to the jungle is because if you cycle through the jungle once, you get level 5. If you cycle through it twice, you'll get level 7. And you can cycle through the jungle twice before the first Dreadnought spawns. So what this means is that Greninja is going to be level 7 or 8 come first Dreadnought, which puts him in a really good position to help secure the first Dreadnought, which is how the whole game starts getting out of control. Greninja's really, really good for this, partially because of his power spikes and then the damage that he does. But now let's talk a little bit about his skills and why he is so strong. So Greninja does this thing. He does a lot of things. One of the things that Greninja does is he just has ridiculous attack power. It's just so much. It is just so much. Here, let me go ahead and see what his basic attack is over here. Yeah, his basic attack damage is 500. Now, I have some items on, so it's a little bit higher, but that is still a very big number. On top of the fact, that was just one of his regular attacks. His boosted attack is even more ridiculous, and he can critical hit. Furthermore, if Greninja has distance, he will actually be slowing his target down. His basic attacks cause a slow. But if you get too close to Greninja, that's fine for him because he does increased damage based on how low your HP is. So Greninja's basic attacks are out of control, but that's a good thing when we talk about how to counter him. But let's talk about some of the other things that he does. Another thing that he can do is he can Smokescreen. So he can just sit here, and then if he does get in trouble, he can just roll away. He clouds the vision of whoever he hits, and then he's invisible, and then he can just skedaddle on out of there. And then finally, we have to talk about Surf, and this is where people get destroyed by Greninja. So what Surf does is does a lot of damage. Whoosh! But if you noticed, let me make sure move cooldowns are on. If you pay attention here, you see how the cooldown gets reset? That makes it a very strong skill. The way it gets reset is if the target dies upon getting hit. So you see here, target didn't die. So we have to sit here and wait for our Surf to come back. So what a lot of Greninja players try to do is they will try to soften up the target or watch for a softened up target and then do this. And they just keep watching. And part of the reason why that's so powerful isn't just because the cooldown gets reset. It's also because the lower the target's HP, the more damage the skill does. So this makes it so that Greninja can snowball very effectively. He can just roll through people with tremendous speed. And if your whole team is in a big team fight and they're all starting to get low, well, suddenly Greninja's like, "What's up, everyone? Let's go Surf!" And then he just starts plowing through everyone. And there goes your whole team. So it's just that Greninja does too much. He has too much damage, and he has too many ways to get away from his problems. I mean, you know, we talked about how Smokescreen can go ahead and help you get away from something. I mean, it can also help you ambush something, because if you sneak up on someone while you're invisible, that lets you get those first couple of good hits in, and then you can go ahead and do the whole Surf thing on them. So Greninja just has a lot of maneuverability and a lot of damage. He's very much so a ninja. But now, how do we counter him? Let's start talking about that. Also, quickly, before we get into those, let me mention that we have a whole new channel for Pokemon Unite content called Pokemon Unite Guides. Link will be in the description for that. Only Pokemon Unite content over there. On SwingPoynt, I cover other stuff. So if you're already watching over on Pokemon Unite Guides, thank you. And if you're not, link will be in the description for the rest of you. So now, how to counter Greninja. Enter the Slowbro. Slowbro has a very, very unique thing going on with him that no other character in the game has. And we recently covered Slowbro in a Slowbro guide, and I glossed over this and I didn't completely understand it. And you guys in the comments let me know just how amazing this is about Slowbro. So Slowbro has this skill called Scald. And what Scald does is you shoot out and it does some damage, and it does damage over time, causes a burn. Now, what I did not understand was how effective this burn was. So if you're familiar with the regular Pokemon series, there's status effects in these games, and one of which is burn. And what burn does in the regular Pokemon games is it causes damage over time, or per turn. It also causes the target that is burned to do reduced damage with their physical attacks. By a lot, by 50%. Now, in Pokemon Unite, if you burn someone with Charizard or with Cinderace, they only lose about 5% of their damage. But again, keep in mind, burn still does burn things. In case you didn't know that, burn does cause a reduced damage. But again, on Charizard and Cinderace, it's only about 5%. However, Slowbro here causes a huge reduction in damage with his Scald. See how we're getting hit for 73s right now? Watch this number just tank while this character is burned. Scald from Slowbro causes about a 30% damage reduction, on top of the fact that it's a ranged skill. On top of the fact, we keep going here, that if it does hit, it causes an area of effect and everybody in that is also burned. So all of these people are doing 30% less damage. Now, I'm sure your imagination is starting to go crazy right now with all the possibilities. That's good, because there's a lot of possibilities with this. Now, let's talk about how this really counters Greninja, and why we covered Greninja a little bit beforehand. Where did this little gecko go off to? So how does this counter Greninja? Well, it's pretty straightforward, frankly. It just makes it so he does less damage. And part of the reason why Greninja's so good is that he does a lot of damage. But furthermore, it compounds with the fact that a lot of Greninja players start to get used to how much damage they do. So if you're playing Greninja and you expect to do a certain amount of damage in order to surf on someone and make your cooldown reset, well, if you're doing 30% less suddenly, that's going to mess with everything. You're going to get so confused. And let's go ahead and take a peek here. I'm going to go ahead and let him hit me up a little bit, and we're going to see how much damage he does with water shuriken, because that's just what they pick. So 415, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit him with Scald. And you see how he's only hitting 311? That's a huge damage reduction. That's hundreds of damage just off of that one little that I did. Since Greninja is doing so much less damage, he puts himself in situations that make him vulnerable, because he's expecting to do something that he's suddenly not going to do. And something to know about Greninja is that he's very squishy. That's one of his weaknesses. It feels like he doesn't have any weaknesses, but one of the weaknesses of Greninja is that he is soft. He only has 5,400 HP. That is the lowest in the game. He's tied with Cinderace for lowest HP in the game. Nobody else is lower. On top of the fact that his defense isn't that great either. He has 250 regular defense and, like, I don't know, around 150 special defense. Here, let me take a look. 149 special defense. So he's very squishy. So if you can catch a Greninja player out of position, which is something you're definitely going to be able to do if their damage is suddenly nerfed by 30%, that allows you to pounce on them and make it so we can't start snowballing you. But that's not all. There's more to talk about here. So with Scald, you see how it makes that big area of effect? A lot of good teams do this thing where they death ball, right? And since this causes an area of effect, everybody who's in the effect of the burn has 30% reduced damage. And now let's go talk about how often you can do that. So we're going to turn move cooldowns back on and pay close attention. So as long as the character is burned by Scald, they are doing 30% less damage. So go ahead and take a peek. You see how there's only a 1 second window in which they aren't affected by burn, and when Scald is unable to be used? Look at that. You could basically have them burned the whole match as long as you're strategic about it. There's only a little 1 second window for them to get all their attacks in at full power. So if you're playing Slowbro, and again, this is the part I did not understand when I made my Slowbro guide, was just how much damage reduction there really was. I knew that it existed. I just didn't realize how big it was in Slowbro's case. So if you can just keep hitting your enemy and causing a big area of effect, suddenly their whole team is doing way less damage, which puts your team in a position to just clobber them. Imagine if they came out with patch notes, and on the patch notes it just said, Greninja's doing 30% less damage. Good luck, have fun. Nobody would touch him anymore. And that's what we're doing here. This is already in the game, and it's basically constant. As long as you're hanging out around him, he's going to have 30% less damage the whole time. And, well, okay, he's got range, though. What if he's just trying to stay away from you? You know what? Just grab him. And then you can pull him into your telekinesis. That's another cool part about Slowbro here, is that he has that telekinesis skill. He can grab pretty much anyone he wants and then just yank him towards him. And if you don't know how to do that, you use telekinesis, that grabs him. But if you use it again, that's what pulls him towards you. So if you got a Greninja that's trying to be sneaky and just stay away from you, just grab him and pull him close. And then you know what he'll try to do? He'll try to smoke screen. But then you'll see kind of which direction he went, and then he's go, and then you'll probably take him out anyway, if he's not already dead because he's squishy and your team probably already pounced on him. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is that with damage that Slowbro does, it causes him to heal. The way Slowbro works is he takes damage, and then there's that blue bar that's remaining. That's basically recoverable health. He can recover that health if he does damage with one of his skills, as long as that blue bar is remaining. The blue bar's gone, he can't recover health anymore by using his skills. Anyway, now we were trying this on a live stream, twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. We stream just about every single night. We do viewer games over there. And I'm going to show you some of the team fights that we had where I was using Slowbro here, so you can see just how caught off guard the enemy team is and how we're able to just basically face tank damage right in front of them, and we still somehow win the whole fight in the most unlikely scenarios sometimes. I don't know how I'm surviving some of these. Telling you, man, they think they're gonna do damage and then they don't. They get real risky bisky and then they can't do it. Oh, I'm gonna die. Happy to slam they're gonna do with my ult. So now that you saw some of those, keep in mind, this is not just against Greninja, this is against anyone. So take a look at their damage dealers. It could be Cinderace, it could be Venusaur, it could be, I don't know, Gengar, it could be Blastoise, it could be anyone. You shoot this at them, they're doing way less damage. It's remarkable how much damage it takes off. 30% is ridiculous, and you can keep using it. I can't believe I glossed over this in the Slowbro guide, because I had no idea it was so big. I wouldn't have imagined it was so big and that you could do it so often. But I encourage you, try it out. It is a lot stronger than you might think it is. And part of the reason why it's so strong is because people don't see it coming. They don't know that 30% of their damage is gone. They really got to be high level, paying attention, know everything about this game in order to know that Slowbro came in, was like, bleh, and then suddenly their damage is completely nerfed. I hope this helps you. We stream just about every single night on twitch.tv, like I said. Also, we have a whole new channel, Pokemon Unite Guides, which is just guides for this channel. You might already be watching on Pokemon Unite Guides, and if you are, thank you so much. So link will be in the description of the SwingPoynt video if you want to go check that out over there. I'd love to see you guys over there. And with that, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video that we do around here.